Hi everyone, it's Scott here. James put up a video yesterday, another weekly chat video, and so I wanted to respond to that and also to thank him for his little shout out there. Appreciate it, James. The questions he asked today, the first one was, the questions he asked this week, one of them was about favorite directors. Who are your favorite directors and what is it that you like about them? I have a few, and it almost always comes down to two things. One, their style, whether I like it or not, if I really like their style. And two, if they've made a large number of movies that I really enjoy quite a bit. I have a few directors like one of James's favorites, Tim Burton, and Sam Raimi, who are favorites of mine because back in like the 80s and 90s they made a bunch of movies that I like, but not as many now. I wouldn't put them in my favorite directors category, simply because I haven't enjoyed a lot of their recent movies. But I will always give them a chance. Anytime they have a new movie in theaters, I will check it out. I'll give it a shot. And actually, Raimi's last film, Oz the Great and Powerful, was a movie that I like quite a bit. I think he's gearing up to do a new one, and Tim Burton's got a new film coming out soon called Big Eyes, which is about the artists who make the paintings of people with very large eyes. That's what they call them. They call them big eye paintings. And when they come out, I'll be seeing those movies in the theater, no question. Even though some of their recent movies, like the Spider-Man films and what was the last one? Oh yeah, he did Dark Shadows or Alice in Wonderland. Those are movies I'm not really fond of. So although they have been favorites of mine, they're not really current favorites. Current favorites would be guys like David Fincher, Steven Soderbergh, Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan, people like that, who have an exciting style, who have made really a lot of really good films that I've been excited to see. But there's no sort of commonality in their style. There are some commonalities. For example, there's a shot in Magic Mike in which one of the guys, basically during a party, he leaps up onto the table and kicks the bowl of popcorn off of the table, and it's like the shot is low angle, and it's up high on him, and then it's goes down on the table as he kicks the popcorn away. I'm like, oh, that looks like a Fincher shot. You know, that's totally something that Fincher would do, even though it was a Soderbergh film. Fincher's very sort of controlled. All of his shooting and cutting is very precise. He also has really good taste in material, and he casts his movies very well. Scorsese is very high energy. There's lots of really dynamic camera movement, and they're also cut really well. Christopher Nolan is just a sort of an epic scale filmmaker. Accompanied with the usual Hans Zimmer score. It's just very invigorating. I just like a lot of his movies in general, but he incorporates some big scale stuff and a lot of handheld camera work as well. That he just is one of the few guys that really does handheld camera work in a way that I find pleasing, whereas a lot of the times it's not pleasing at all. It's annoying. And you have Richard Linklater, who is pretty much the polar opposite of a lot of those guys. He's a very laid-back, very relaxed style. He lets shots go on for a long while, doesn't cut nearly as frequently. But he's made some terrific movies, the Before movies with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, and he's got a new movie coming out in a couple weeks called Boyhood that I'm really pumped to see. So yeah, not a lot of commonalities in the style exactly, but it all sort of comes down to having a style that agrees with me personally, that I just enjoy watching, and of course a high quantity of films that they've made that I really like a lot. And all those guys have that in common. They've made a lot of films that I really enjoy quite a bit, and there's something about the way that they make their movies that I really like. Whereas somebody like Michael Bay is somebody whose style I really don't like very much, and most of his movies are pretty stupid, so he's like among one of my least favorite directors. The second question James asked was, how often do you reorganize your DVD collection? Well, let's take a look at my collection and find out, shall we? My DVDs are set up in kind of a bizarre way. I have basically two groups of DVDs. Here is the first group. This is a rack, basically, that I bought a few years ago and assembled here. It's keeps all the discs horizontal, makes the titles easier to read, but it is not quite as stable as the vertical rack or a shelving unit that you would put in and hold them vertically. But I just sort of like this design a little bit better. I like having them be horizontal like this, but it is kind of unstable. Anyway, these are all alphabetized, starting with A and going all the way down. But these are sort of secondary titles right there. I've grouped them into two different places, like I said. My favorite titles are over here, and these are like the choice cuts right here. These are all the top, my favorite things. I've got like Back to the Future, and Children of Ben, Citizen Kane, Die Hard, The Fly, Forrest Gump, The Incredibles, and that's like the first half of the alphabet, and over here I have the second half. Here we have Miller's Crossing by the Coen Brothers, and Pulp Fiction, Raiders of the Lost Ark, RoboCop. This is a very nice set right here. This is a steelbook with lots of really great special features on it. Schindler's List, 12 Monkeys, Unforgiven, United 93, I mean, there's no real rhyme or reason to it other than these are the sort of like the choice titles right here, and the rest of them over in this area, those are everything else. Not that I don't like these movies, of course, that's why I own them. But yeah, I've sort of grouped them like that. And I don't really reorganize them or move them back and forth from one section to the other. Yeah, other than that, they're just alphabetized. So no, I don't. I used to actually, of course, collect VHS tapes, and when I did, I would sort them actually by director name. I would alphabetize them by director name instead of movie title. That was a little strange, but that's my collection right there. Kind of small, less than 90 movies, but I don't rewatch movies as much as a lot of other people, I think. So James' third question was a hypothetical about picking 10 movies to see for the rest of your life. Just 10 movies. Those are the only 10 movies you'll get to watch for the rest of your life. I don't think this is not a fun question for me because I don't like the thought of not being able to see more than 10 movies, especially 10 movies that I've already seen. If you wanted me to pick 10 movies that haven't been made yet, that haven't come out yet, to see for the rest of my life, to pick only those 10 movies, well, I might be able to do that. But of the ones that I have seen, I have too many favorites to choose from. And the problem is that only having 10 movies to pick from forever means that eventually I'll get tired of all those movies no matter how good they are. This is something that's happened with movies like True Romance, and The Avengers, Batman Begins, movies that I've seen many, many times and know them very well, know most of the dialogue from each of them. So as much as I like them, having to watch them over and over again would get very, very dull. I would prefer albums, CDs, pick 10 albums to listen to forever. And the reason for that is because I can enjoy music repeatedly in a way that I can't enjoy movies repeatedly. They would just get dull, after a while. Whereas, you could listen to a song or a set of songs hundreds of times and never get tired of them because the music is that good. Yeah, can't really pick movies like that. The one movie that I would put on that list, if I had to make a list like that, would be a movie called Koyaanisqatsi, which is a movie that I talked about in a recent video, and also Luke Razorwire did a couple of videos recently on the new Blu-ray set of films by this guy. They're like non-narrative documentaries. They're kind of like music videos, only it's not rock music. It's this orchestral score that accompanies a lot of shots of nature and cityscapes and what have you. Travels all over the world basically shooting these things. And I would equate that more with an album basically than I would with a movie, because there isn't a story to follow. And there isn't, any sort of, with a movie, if you see it enough times, you might find certain parts getting a little dull, and you would get impatient to get to the next scene or the next moment that's really good. And the more you watch a movie like that, at least the more I would watch a movie like that, the less frequent those moments would become. It'd be like, okay, let's just get to the next part, which is really good. Whereas a song, if a song is good, you can enjoy it all the way through hundreds of times. At least, I should say, I can enjoy it all the way through. And with an album, a really good album, I could listen to that over and over again and not get tired of it. Of course, I'd still want to, limit the amount of times I listen to the album just so that I, to guard against getting bored with that. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Chipotle burritos, but I couldn't eat them every single day because I would get sick of them, I really, really like them a lot, but I couldn't eat them all the time. It would just get dull. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to make a list like that, not of movies, Nixon is a movie that's so long and complex that half the time I don't know what scene is coming up next, despite the fact that I've seen it many times. But yeah, that one, I wouldn't necessarily want to pick that as one of the only 10 movies I'd see for the rest of my life. I'd want to, something more fun, I guess. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. I don't really think that I can do it. But I did the best that I can. Thanks, James, for doing the weekly chat again. I look forward to seeing the chat videos from the other guys. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. And of course, if you want to give me feedback, the best place to do that would be my Facebook page. The link is in the description below, along with the link to James' video. Please check them out if you haven't already. Thanks very much. Later.